Look at this. Just look at this. Now go look at this. But I don't, but what happened? Hold on. But this? What does that have to do with this? I am so confused. You've got two different career sites. You've got UnitedHealth Group and you've got, hold on, UnitedHealth Care. Now, what do these two things have to do with each other? How are they related? Well, gosh, let's Google them because I had to. UnitedHealth Care is the health benefits business of UnitedHealth Group, which means that if you work here, you really work here. Now, let's make this just a little more confusing. Let's go look and shop the holy, site that is the Big Blue. Here is UnitedHealth Group with 104,000 associated members. And here's Lindsay. Now, I don't know Lindsay, but she's based in Chicago and she's a second kind of connection. So I guess that's why she's first. And if I go to UnitedHealth Care with 12,000 associated members, but there's Lindsay. I don't get this at all. And if I ask Lindsay via the Big Blue, it says she works at UnitedHealth Care, but she's showing up over here. I don't get any of this. This is a total mess. And this is the brand we're going to break out today. We're going to break it down and say what's going on because they are facing a challenge that is becoming, I don't want to say endemic, but certainly relatively common, all things considered. There's a lot of companies facing this sense of what is the name of our company? What company do people work for? And that's who we're going to break down. We're going to talk about UnitedHealth Group. I'm James Ellis. If you didn't know me, hi, how you doing? Welcome to another edition of Employer Brand Breakdown. If you joined us last week for Oatly and we're really excited by the creative, amazing stuff they put together, this is going to be different. This is not the same thing. This is going to be a complete 180 from that kind of approach. This is a very different company with some very different approaches to putting out its employer brand, its employer value proposition, call it what you will, and we got to break it down. If you haven't yet done so, I've got a thing called an Employer Brand Buyer's Guide. It is a listing of 16 different employer brand agencies, consultants, practitioners doing business in the U.S. so that you can see them side by side and go, oh, that's the difference between those two companies. I couldn't tell. And so you can make a better choice of who your employer brand partner is going to be. Just go to EVP Buyer's Guide or just Google Employer Brand Buyer's Guide. It's right there. It's free and it's right there. Also, if you haven't done so, are you subscribed to the Change Agent newsletter? Because that's my new newsletter. I've completely revamped Employer Brand Headlines to be focused on helping you make change. So go to thechangeagent.news to subscribe. Like I said, it's free. All right. Enough of that. One last piece of housekeeping. If you've got a brand you'd like me to break down, and after you see this, you may not want to do that. But if you've got a brand you'd like me to break down, we're going to do one more for the year next week. So next week is our last one for the year, and then we're going to take a week break, and then we'll come roaring back in January. And I got some tricks up my sleeve I'm putting together for you for January. So let's get back to UnitedHealth Group. So let's start here. Here is UnitedHealth Group. And this is, gosh, just a warm hug of a career site, ain't it, folks? Ooh, boy. Work here. I just need some cocoa. I feel so good. I just want to join this company. Work here. What is going on? Now read the language. At UnitedHealth Group, we celebrate our people, ideas, experiences. Okay, sure, great. We foster an inclusive, equitable, diverse environment where all team members are appreciated, valued, and able to reach their full potential. That is a line that you could literally put on hundreds of thousands of other career sites and no one would blink. And I mean, just nothing. It's just, there's nothing there. That sounds like every company. And then they take this interesting turn. We are doctors, nurses, technologists, data scientists, care advocates, administrators, researchers, and more. I feel like that's half a sentence. I feel like there's something missing. We're doctors, nurses, and technologists who are trying to do this thing, who are endeavoring in this direction, who want to make the world a more purple place, I guess in this case, navy blue. okay, just listing what these jobs are makes no sense, especially when you scroll down and you go, look, they're the jobs. I don't get this. This is a career site that so often it's just about just search the jobs, just search the jobs. And given the amount of white space and austere kind of uber clean kind of design, if that's what we want to call this, just transactional is the watchword here. Just apply for the job, just apply for the job, search for it, apply for the job. I'm going to change voices as I hear them, not just in my head, but on the career site. And then we have some really interesting situations. Here's popular job searches, and then like a metric ton of white space. I don't know what's happening between this headline and these buttons. And this is just going to list some jobs. Our families of businesses, and you can learn about their families. And this is where things get complicated. And this is one of the challenges I alluded to at the beginning that is becoming more and more common, especially in insurance and especially in healthcare and hospital systems. This idea that there is this overarching parent brand whose name you may not be familiar with, but their child brands are very obvious. This isn't a Disney situation where it's Disney owns Disney parks. Everybody gets that. Knowing the name of the system that owns your local hospital may not be clear to you. And as hospitals tend to consolidate to kind of save money and become more efficient, it's really, really common. I know for a fact plenty of hospital systems have, if you look at them, like, oh yeah, they're the St. Luke's hospital. That's the one I know my whole life. They're really owned by some conglomerate whose name you don't know. And what they're doing is kind of what they have to do here, which is maintain multiple brands. Now, in some places, this is called a house of brands, and there's reasons for that we're not going to get into today. But what we're seeing here are some very complicated brand architecture, because I don't understand the difference between UnitedHealth Group and UnitedHealthcare. And oh, by the way, there's a third company we haven't even mentioned yet called Optum. Okay. They are all connected. They're all owned by UnitedHealth Group. The fact that they put this here in parallel with the other two makes no sense. I would have hierarched it, but that's me. And we'll discuss that more in a minute. Here's career areas. More apply for the job, apply for the job, apply for the job. If you click on the button, it will directly say, here's the least amount of information we can give you before you hit apply for a job and search for a job. It is a austere site. And for a company that has 100,000 employees plus, this is really light. Now let's learn about their amazing culture, which, by the way, I am intrigued because there's been no sense of culture so far. If you thrive in a high-performance, high-accountability environment where our values shape at the pursuit of our mission, this is truly a place where you'll find opportunities focused on caring, connecting, and growing together. I'm going to break this down for a minute because this is insurance. This is health insurance specifically, not even commercial insurance for buildings and stuff. Healthcare insurance is a very stable environment, relatively speaking. There's a sense that, look, everybody needs insurance, so everybody's going to buy insurance. You don't need to buy 3 insurances, so it's not like you're suddenly going to grow like crazy because you only need one. Each person only needs one, and each family only needs one. It's got stable growth all over it. So when they talk about high performance, I wonder, and this is the game of language, right? I wonder if what they're saying is not high performance in a we make big bets and we achieve the most kind of way of high performance, but high performance as in minimal failures, as in minimal flaws or defects, like in a Six Sigma high performance kind of way, right? We process 100,000 applications an hour, and we want to make sure we get 100,000 applications right. That is what they might mean by high performance. It's not clear. And I'm making contextual guesses based on their industry. And then they have high accountability. Okay, nice balance for high performance. But it's all driving towards this caring, connecting, and growing together. This seems to be what they're labeling as their culture. And in the way they use it, it seems just as easily their EVP. It seems just as easily as their employer brand. It's very fuzzy. It's hard to say. They talk about it here as culture, but you'll see it later in different ways. We're going to break it down in a minute. We got lots of locations. We got so many different ways to use that color blue. Disability inclusion programs and the world's tiniest video about disability inclusion programs. Good thing they do have closed captions because on this one they don't, which is odd. Now look, here's that language again, caring, connecting, growing together. And here's a little paragraph about why. Here's military programs. We want to keep in touch. Okay, all good, all good. But I want to note that if you go here to their navigation, there's a lot of stuff, it seems. So we just saw the disability inclusion programs. Let's click on that. What do we get? We get, well, I think this is the same copy as on the homepage, and this is very little copy, and there's no video. Somehow, in landing on this page, I get less information somehow. And I'm not sure what this program outline, oh, it's an internship program. Okay. Right. If I'm going here because I want to learn more about your disability inclusion programs, does that mean I'm assuming an intern? It's not quite clear. And there's not a lot of content here. And it's really interesting that for all this navigation, each of these pages is really thin. There's not a lot of there. Okay, this one has a bit more about their mission, and it's a nice little animation and all that good stuff. But for the most part, almost all their content is on this homepage. Now let's compare that to this other company they also own, shifting tabs. This is United Healthcare. This is a smaller sub-brand, but it's the one most people know. I, in fact, was once about 15 years ago a customer. And this careers site, or in this case, I think really a page is the most appropriate, is inside its About Us section right next to Community Impact, our membership rights, not members being like people who are members of this insurance cohort, right? And our demographic data collection, and not for candidates, but for members. They've really stuck it in this kind of junk drawer of a site. Maybe they've got a page here that called Why Work Here, and it kicks us back to United Healthcare. This is literally where it lands us. So their site, the UnitedHealth Group, is a very limited site. You've got a video, you've got a couple of paragraphs, and yes, they've got this font. You've got yet another explanation as to how these three companies are somehow related, more uses of the color blue, and that's about it. I will give them points here because instead of just saying, hey, we've got these sub-brands, you get to pick, the way they've talked about these different brands suggests that you can bounce from one to the other, and that the fact that they have multiple brands means more opportunity for the candidate. And I really like that. I like that framing because it does say this is why you might value it. Very often when companies talk about these structures, they talk about why they make the choices and not why it matters to the candidate, which is really what's important. Okay, let's go back to UnitedHealth Group career areas. So I want to go to look at a job. Where are we here? Let's look at clinical. And it's a straight up, very minimal content and go to job, go to job, go to job. Look, here's the reasons why you should join physicians. Immerse yourself in a physician-led environment where you can directly make healthcare more responsive and innovative. And then bam, we're searching for jobs. Really, really transactional, really transactional. Now, they're insurance companies. There's not necessarily going to be a lot of love here. There's not going to be a lot of like high-minded philosophical thought necessarily, and I'm fine with that, but it's super transactional. Here on the ATS, I think it's really interesting. They've picked an ATS that allows for multiple brands on their site, which obviously they need because I'm guessing they've got independent TA teams who are managing their jobs independently, but on a shared resource of an ATS, and that's always complicated. Not every ATS can handle that. But I think it's interesting that they've spent real estate saying, hey, look at this is an Optum job and not a United Healthcare job or not a, it's just all Optum. Yeah, here's a United Health Group job. Like, oh, good. This is the good one because it's the company I care about. Okay, if you say so. I'm just going to go with if you say so. It doesn't seem very necessary, but there you go. All right, let's go back to the homepage. Okay. And then we're going to go to clinical positions. These are, all right, sorry, this went directly to a job search. Now let's try consulting, I guess. Again, very, very simple language. And again, caring, connecting, and growing together. Okay, can we break this down for a second? Because my first read on this caring, connecting, and growing together was closer to bafflement than clarity. Okay, you're an insurance company, you're caring. Now, given the position this language exists in, and by the way, you can see here it stops being about the culture. It seems to be more about the make a bigger impact with us and start caring. This is more about their EVP, which is why I think that's fuzzy. So the word caring in this instance suggests caring about our employees, but that's not clear. It just says caring. It could mean caring about our members, but again, it's not clear. It just says caring. Here's the trick. Every company cares about something. Saying you care isn't exactly a differentiator. Goldman Sachs cares about making piles of money. They care about that thing. World Wildlife Federation cares about saving animals. They care about those things. Every company cares about something, whether it's their customers or their industry or the bottom line or their people or whatever that thing is, they all care. So having this caring, it feels very unhelpful. How about that? Then you've got connecting. And I swear the first time I read this, I stared at this for like 30 seconds trying to figure out what they meant. And I actually figured out what they meant in a second. I'll show you. So putting a pin on that. And then we get to growing together. And this is interesting because, okay, insurance is that stable environment. Companies tend to grow at a relatively straightforward year-over-year percentage. There's no wild fluctuations. There's no wild changes in how insurance is. Everybody needs insurance. There's inherent demand. They're pretty safe. It's pretty stable environment. I really find it interesting that this is a company in a super stable environment, not either calling out their stability or ignoring that stability. And I don't know what I would have done in that situation. It's kind of an interesting question. How do you say this is what this is? Do you assume that everybody knows this is a stable industry and brings baggage with that? And you say, okay, what's beyond that? Certainly a viable strategy. Or do you kind of spell it out up front? I'm not sure what the right answer there is. So I'm going to try and find where I figured out. Where did I figure it out? Maybe it's over here. No. Oh, I'm gonna forget where it was. I'm gonna lose it. Oh, wait. Hold on. I know it's here. So there's a place where they list, and it's really well buried. I'm not surprised I can't find it again. But when they list that, maybe it's under DEI. Nope, it's not. There's a place where they list the caring, connecting, and growing together. Let's go find it on the homepage. It's on the homepage, might as well. And they actually color code it. And that's when I figured out what they were saying. What they were saying was caring is their insurance company. Connecting is that other company we haven't talked much about. It's called Optum. This is healthcare platforms. It's how vendors and healthcare providers talk to each other. So it's literally, when it says connecting, it's not saying people connect. It's saying their business model is connecting. And then suddenly growing together is about UnitedHealth Group, which is about the overall corporate environment growing. And suddenly you realize this isn't a description of their culture. This isn't an EVP. These are their three business models. We care about people to insure them. We connect them with their providers and let the providers and pharmacists talk to each other, and the business grows together. And that floored me. I found somewhere where they were color coded. So like the connected was orange and it showed that's what it was. It's such a strange choice. And this is where I kind of get on my high horse about EVPs and employer brands. They're so often focused on telling you what the company wants you to know and not thinking about what does the candidate care about? What do they need to know to make a decision? These are really nice words, but they're super limited, so they can kind of mean anything, like the way we talk about how caring can mean anything. And I'm not sure what they're trying to tell me. And if I'm a candidate trying to say, I mean, look, if I'm a consultant, let's go find career areas in consulting. Here it is. I'm a consultant. Government consulting, healthcare advisory consulting, these are not easy jobs to do. There's not a lot of people who do them, and there's a lot of places they could do it. And all I'm learning about what it's like to work there is connecting or caring. I don't know what that means. Now, here in their job posting, they've got a bit more information, but it just seems like a really strange decision to not front load the career site a little bit, to not put enough information on the homepage to say, this is the overall thought. This is where you're setting the frame, helping people understand why choose this company. And what they've done is said, work here. And if you come through the most common door, I imagine, because it's the most brand well known of UnitedHealth Care, there's hardly any information at all. It's a single page. And if you want to learn more information, it kicks you back here. So areas of opportunity is to figure out what do you really offer these companies relative to either other insurance companies, to other healthcare companies. I'm not sure how you'd kind of balance that. I want to do more research, but relative to that competition, if we assume a stable environment, which I think we can, what do you offer beyond that? And being crystal clear, creating some credibility, saying why people should choose that, and then validating that information is really what the career site should be doing here. It's not enough to say we're a massive company, so we're stable, so everybody should want to work here. It's not a super brand wear company, right? The part of everybody that everybody knows is the smaller insurance company. Only 12,000 people work there, and you're not really driving that. So this to me feels like there's some pieces here that can be turned around. I'd want to do a refresh of what their brand position is, for lack of a better word, because it's not their culture, it's not their EVP, it's not their brand. I don't know what it is, but I want to refresh that and really say, what are you offering people? Delineate that and bake it into all these pages, because there's a lot of real estate. It's just not being taken advantage of. So with that, I've broken down yet another employer brand. If that was useful to you, I hope it was. I hope it's an interesting challenge, interesting process to see how people look at this work from the outside, because that's how candidates look at it. They're absorbing information, maybe not quite at such a fine detail, but this is how candidates absorb information about companies. So if you've got another company you'd like me to review, I got a couple in mind, but I'd love to hear your suggestions. This one, in fact, was a suggestion from an employer brand forum I won't name, but thanks for suggesting it. And if you've got a good one, I'd love to hear about it. So with that, until next week, I'll see you.